What's going on, guys? In this video we're going to be talking about old Bardock, which is Z Bardock versus Super Bardock. Now yes, this is an anime, video, but I'm going to be making commentary videos on all kinds of things, but for now it's going to be about Dragon Ball. So first thing I want to say is, why did I choose Bardock out of everybody? Well, he is my favorite character, so of course I'm going to talk about it. And mainly because in Dragon Ball Super they ended up changing him. Specifically the movie. And Broly, the Broly movie. Of course, I'm going to tell you why he's my favorite. So basically, the reason why he's my favorite, honestly, which is pretty crazy, in Dragon Ball Z he barely had any screen time. Like, I don't even remember, like, I think he had like at least 3 minutes. Like in Dragon Ball Z Kai. I don't know, just the way they pictured him in Dragon Ball Z Kai, where he was just like rushing towards Frieza, knowing he was gonna die or maybe succeed, which he probably doubted it, but he knew he was gonna end up dying. So eventually he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. And I remember seeing that one scene and I was so amazed by how badass he was, just for the fact that Bardock literally just one Saiyan against a whole army of, Frieza's army, of course. He knew he was gonna die. And at that point he was just doing it for his son. No one listened to him, which is the worst part about it. Like in Dragon Ball Z, the Namek Saga, I remember when Frieza had a flashback. He was trying to remember where he recognizes Goku's face. And of course Goku ended up being Bardock's son. So from that point, Frieza was like, he had Offspring, the only Saiyan that knew what was gonna happen, actually ended up having a son that he would end up fighting in the future. And that, like, the whole story about Bardock just amazed me when I was a little kid. The first thing I want to talk about is his style. Dragon Ball Z style Bardock versus Dragon Ball Super style Bardock. The main reason why I'm doing this is because, as you can tell from the picture above, Dragon Ball Z Bardock looks way different than Dragon Ball Super Bardock. Now the main reason why they did this, honestly, I don't know. And I'm going to be explaining which one I like more and why. The Bardock from Dragon Ball Z is way better than the Dragon Ball Super. Personally, I'm not trying to be biased or nothing about that nostalgia thing. But I know for a fact, Bardock is just the way they made him and the way they drew him in Dragon Ball Z. Like, the outfit is iconic. I'm pretty sure y'all seen his green armor. Basically, just if I were to show you a picture of just Bardock's green armor, you would right off the bat know who I'm talking about. His green armor really defines who he is. Like, you could, between all the scenes in the other pictures, in the movie, you could tell which one's which by just looking at the armor. Of course, her female soldier, I forgot what was her name, but she had pink. His best friend had like bluish, and then there's Vegeta that was like it was like bluish, I think. But for Bardock it was green with red boots. I really liked his outfit. Everything about it was like, I don't know, it was just badass. Another thing I liked about Z style more than Super is his scouter, because it really showed him, I don't know, I feel like the scouter added a big detail from him being a Saiyan, and the fact that, it really showed who he was. And the last main important thing that I want to talk about Bardock that was important was his headband. Now, I don't know if many people know or if y'all seen the movie, but it basically explains that his red headband came from the blood of his soldiers or his crew, which for me, that detail by itself is just amazing. Just when I saw that in the movie they weren't gonna give him the red headband, I was low-key kind of pissed, just cause I don't know, that part of the Z Bardock was probably the best. The fact that he found his crew dead and he ended up, cleaning the blood off his best friend, literally his best friend, putting it on his head to like basically like a way of a reminder of what they did to his crew. You know? That's what I like the most about the red headband. Another thing I liked about Bardock's from Z is his personality. They gave him more of that same personality where he really didn't care about his son till the end, when he was like, you know what, our race is doomed. I might as well do something, because he wasn't really there. You know, he didn't really care. He even said it in the movie. He was just basically like your average Saiyan father that just didn't care. Another thing I liked about his personality is that he was so serious and calm, you know, like compared to Goku, his son. Goku was all goofy and shit, but I mean, that kind of makes sense because he did hit his head in the rock, and Bardock didn't. You know, Bardock was just, you know, he had that original mentality, you know, just not giving a shit, being calm, and the way he destroyed his enemies, I don't know, everything about it, the uniform, the personality, and the story behind the headband just makes the Z style way better, in my opinion. Another thing I want to talk about is the lore between both characters. Now, as I've been talking about, the Z story or lore about Bardock is, you know, his whole crew dying. An important detail from that lore, though, is when Bardock got hit in the neck from that alien race, and he ended up getting these visions that basically was telling him his fate, which was of course true, because eventually, as you see in the story or in the anime, Bardock dies to Frieza. Well, the whole race, of course, except for some Saiyans. The thing about Bardock's story in Z is I feel like there was just more detail to it. It showed how he went from your average Saiyan that didn't really care about his children, just was worried about completing his mission or objective, and was just going by his, you know, daily routine. That's what I feel like what I really liked about the story, how he went from a bloodthirsty Saiyan completing his, you know, journey and everything, versus the one in Super, which is more of a calm Bardock. You know, it doesn't really show how he's a deadbeat. I know that might sound weird, wanting Bardock to be a deadbeat, but what I'm trying to say is the difference between Super and Z is that it really shows more of that Saiyan personality. Like, for example, in Super, all they really do is already show Bardock at a calm state where he's kind of like, you know, he already cares about his son. It's like, and they also, the fact that they got rid of the whole crew thing and the red headband, like I said, another main detail that I kind of hate how they removed. The red headband being removed from Bardock's character was what really kind of I didn't like about Super. Because the red headband, like I said, it signifies his crew's demise, the blood from his best friend, and the fact that the other movie didn't have that, I was low-key kind of like disappointed in that part. But it wasn't that bad, just because I was like, you know what, it's whatever, right? Now, something I did like about Bardock's backstory in Super is that they showed Gine, which is Goku's mother. They showed more, basically gave her more character, and they showed how she was loving and just different from the others. I feel like what they were trying to say, or with Gine, with the reason why they put her, is, you know, just to show how Gine probably switched Bardock from going a deadbeat to a regular, like, caring about his son. Now, I know the whole deadbeat thing might sound wrong to you, but I feel like personally it fits the Saiyans just because they're naturally like that, right? They're ruthless and they don't care about, you know, they care about their offspring, but not at the point where they'll see them every day. And yes, I know that might sound wrong, how I wish he was still a deadbeat, but like I said, it gives more feeling or character to the Saiyan. I feel like Gine, the fact that they ended up giving her more screen time, or actually they just ended up giving her screen time because she literally had none in not even in the movie of Bardock. I really like the idea just for the fact that, you know, if they weren't to show Goku's mother, like where is she at? Like, that's the whole point of Goku, you know, being in his pod. You know, it wouldn't make sense if they just didn't show Gine and they were like, oh, I'm just gonna take my baby back home, or I mean, steal a pod for him and put him back. That's it. Another thing I liked about Bardock C lore is that they did implement some parts, like the part where he went to a bar and nobody, like literally no one in that bar believed him because they thought he was lying. I feel like that one scene basically also shows how Saiyans like truly are. Like when they hear something stupid, they're just not gonna believe it because they think, like, basically what it shows is it tells you how the ego of a Saiyan can really mess up their minds, because they think they're like, nah, we're unstoppable, and then here comes Frieza literally killing the whole planet. Another thing I want to mention is I don't hate Bardock from the Super movie. I actually do like him.
I have no job.
Like, they did his story pretty well. All I'm saying is the difference between both stories of Z Bardock versus Super Bardock is just, you know, basically the story and how his personality changed. Because they went in Super, like I said, he's more of a calm Saiyan, you know, he's not ruthless or a deadbeat. But in Z, he's a deadbeat, he's cool, he's chilling, doing his daily routine. Now, I do hate how they had to take away, you know, like I said, his crew dying, how he got the flashbacks, and the red headband, and the scouter. I don't lie, that shit is swag. You can't lie, that shit looks fucking bomb on him. But anyways, the Bardock from Super isn't bad. Honestly, I really like him. All I'm saying is that the Z Bardock is just way better, just by miles, honestly. And it's not because of nostalgia or I'm being biased. It's just my opinion, guys. Of course, let me know what y'all think. That's if I even get comments on this. And yeah, that's the end of this video.